Good morning, empowered artist community. How are you doing? Happy Thursday, the 1st of February. I hope you're doing really well. Welcome to day one of our Art and Mindset Challenge. This challenge is really designed to give you practical tips to help you shift your perspective, give you motivation and inspiration for your creativity, because I do feel, I get this sense from artists when I get messages on Instagram or Facebook, and art starts to feel a little bit heavy. Creativity feels a little bit heavy and a little bit frustrating. And that's sad to see, because I think sometimes when we start something, we have these really good intentions. It makes us feel really good at the time. But then in a world of social media where we've got comparison, it can be really easy to feel disheartened, and also that it's really difficult and you feel like maybe you're never going to improve, or something's particularly difficult, or you're struggling with something. And then when it becomes heavy, people tend to give up on it. So I'm here to promote and encourage people to keep up with their creative practice, whatever that is, and to keep it feeling fun and inspired and motivated so that it's sustainable. Because I really do believe that mindset is key to why we do things, why we do our hobbies. It's about filling our cup. It's about making sure that we're feeling okay, because actually it's completely unselfish to make sure that you're all right, because then you've got lots more to give to other people. You can't give from an empty cup. And so it's really important that I feel that we need to get something out of our creativity and not let it feel heavy and frustrating. So yes, I'm here to encourage you for that. That's what this challenge is all about. We're going to be doing 7 days, not including the weekend. So it's 2 days this week and 5 days next week. I'm going to be giving you practical tips on how to improve your art and practical tips on how to improve your mindset around your art. And then that has a knock-on effect into your everyday life as well. So today, day one, we're going to be talking about kind of creative warm-up exercises. So sometimes when we've got a big piece that we're working on, you can lose the motivation once you've started, or you maybe don't feel that you have that amount of time to do it. Maybe you haven't got an hour spare or 2 hours spare. And so what happens is it gets kind of shoved to the side. We end up doing everything else that we need to do in our daily lives first, and then art becomes a little bit of a treat and something that we can do once we've done everything else. And I feel like that's the wrong way round. Of course we have things to do. I've got 2 children, I've got a busy life, but I know myself how easy it is to push my art aside and only do it when I have time, which is never. You know, you can go the whole week without doing anything. I know how easy that is. So can we break it down into smaller bite-sized chunks and make it a little bit more fun so that we get the creative juices flowing? Because it's really important that it's a muscle that we build. It's not something that, you know, when inspiration strikes, then we'll do our art, because you could be waiting forever. Sometimes it doesn't strike, or it only strikes when it finds you working. So you have to almost start. So what can we do that's a little bit smaller, that's not sitting down to this big piece that feels a little bit intimidating or that we don't have time for? And I wanted to think back to my school days, and when everything felt a little bit lighter. You didn't have so much responsibility, about going back to how it feels as a child. And funnily enough, I was talking to my niece Grace last weekend, and she was doing a maths test, and we were going through it, and on the back of the test were all these doodles. She'd sketched out all of these doodles, and I said, well, I thought this was a maths test. She's like, I know, but it just really helped me to relax. And I thought it really made me think about things, because that's what we used to do. We used to doodle. We used to just express our creativity without this heaviness of an outcome, of it being a masterpiece, of it being amazing, or being a finished piece even. We just doodled and we expressed ourselves, and it was a little bit more childlike. And I just thought it was amazing that she'd got through the maths test. She really wanted to finish the test so that she could doodle. So there's a little bit of, you know, she's in the middle of a test situation. She does need to finish the test. But she gave herself time, and it actually relaxed her. It made her feel really good at the end of it. And the artwork was really quite good. So can we do a little bit more of that? Can we go back to school when you're in a lesson and you just doodled on your history book or your exercise book at school? So what I would say is tip one, I'm going to say tip one is doodle daily. So maybe you can get yourself a little sketchbook and you can just doodle. Maybe when you're on the phone to somebody, that tends to be quite a good time, or you know, when you're sitting watching telly, instead of looking at your phone, instead of picking up your phone and scrolling and mindlessly through Instagram or Facebook whilst you're doing something else, because we seem to have a million things on the go, life is so fast, maybe you could get your sketchbook out and just do some doodles. Don't worry about how they look. You don't need to post them on Instagram or Facebook. Maybe you like to. This group is a safe space, so it might be a nice opportunity to show us your doodles. Get your sketchbook out and doodle. Doodle whatever you want to do. Squiggly lines. I used to do cubes. So think about perspective and then shade them in. I used to do flowers like daisies. I used to, what else did I used to doodle? Tornadoes for some reason. So the swirl of a spiral going down. And it used to be so therapeutic and so relaxing. And I think that's missing from art nowadays. I think it's all too pressurized. It's all too heavy. It feels heavy. It needs to be lighter. So that's tip one. That's your challenge. That's your homework for day one. Show us your doodles, or talk about your doodles, or let me know what you used to doodle when you were at school, and maybe you could bring that back into daily practice if you're struggling to get your creative juices flowing, because what it does is it puts you in that right side of the brain, which is where the creativity is, and it actually leads on to, it's like one step at a time. Getting that pencil or paintbrush or pen onto paper is the first step forward into the bigger steps, you know, the creativity, the juices flowing, the inspiration starting to come. And if you take away the pressure and you change your perspective, actually it's amazing what ideas and little nuggets of great information, or maybe solving a problem, come into your mind when you're in that lovely flow state, that relaxed state, that meditative state that we get in when we do our art. So that's tip one. That's the challenge for today. And tip two is, if you don't want to doodle, maybe you'd like to do sketches that have a little bit of an end goal. Maybe you want to learn a little bit about perspective. Maybe you want to just get your motor skills working in your hands. You know, muscle has memory. So the more that we can do something, the easier it gets and the better it gets. So there's this big debate about tracing and whether that's a bad thing to do. And actually it's been proven that if you draw or trace something and then accurately trace 10 times, your motor skills, your muscle memory will then remember what it's like to draw an accurate sketch, because you could draw the sketch 10 times and it be inaccurate, and then you're kind of not really learning anything. So that it's a learning tool. That's what it's there for. So maybe you could draw an everyday object. Maybe you could draw your mug on the desk. Maybe you could draw a flower. You can post it if you want to in the group. There's definitely going to be no criticism at all. It doesn't matter what level it is. This is about making art fun and enjoyable again, and getting those creative juices going. Maybe you could draw what you see out of your garden. Maybe you could just sketch, but having no attachment to it, having no not putting any boundaries on it, not having any conditions on it, letting it just be about creativity and enjoying what you're doing. So this is about scaling down and doing something small, but it's those one steps forward, those incremental steps, which is what lead us into bigger things. It's not about that massive end goal that's so far away that it feels overwhelming and we're never going to get there. How can we make these small progressive steps? Because it's all about progress, not perfection. Perfection needs to go out of the window. There's no such thing. And, you know, we're never going to get there. So why even strive for it? Progress is so important. So those are the two tips. Doodle daily, and maybe get your sketchbook out and draw something that you can see from your desk, or an everyday object, something that you're drawn to with no outcome, no conditions on it, and not really thinking that it's going to be anything big, and not even a finished piece. And please feel free to add them to the group. That would be lovely to see them and get this community really involved with each other, because we are all as one and we are there to support each other, and community is really, really important for that. Day two, tomorrow, we're going to be talking about colour theory, and I'm going to be giving you some tips on how to really improve that. Maybe you don't have an understanding about it, maybe you would like to learn more, so I can give you a few tips about colour theory. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Let me know what you think about doodling. Is it taking you back to your school days, or when you started art to begin with, when you absolutely started? If anyone's watching, please do say hello. If you're watching on the replay, then say hello too. Maybe put hashtag replay, and let me see your sketches and your doodles if you feel safe to do so. If you don't want to put it live in the group, then you can always DM me. I'd be happy to see them as well. If you just want to make that small step into showing your artwork, because I know it's daunting. I'm always available on the messenger. So I really look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope you have a really great day. Happy Thursday. The sun is out, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Lots of love. Bye for now.